This is a production of Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker.
It is Cooper Mays on the Vol Report, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. City is honest and dependable. That tells you something right there. 50 years of service by City Heating and Air Conditioning. They provide East Tennesseans with honest, dependable heating and cooling services since 1961. And when it comes to honest and integrity, that's what you need, because they can handle the 24/7 emergency services. They can handle brand new HVAC units, parts, accessories, and a no hassle annual inspection and maintenance plan. I would highly advise that. So they bring you Cooper Mays. Cooper Mays joins us. So Cooper, a lot to get to, but you guys are on vacation, but you're not actually with Cade because he's in camp, and you and I talking. It could be a couple of years before you get the whole family together. That's what you get for being good at football, I guess.
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely stinks that you can't have everybody there, but it definitely makes you cherish it a little bit more. So we're looking forward to it. We're going to be together this weekend for Memorial Day, so it'll be nice.
I know you get that asked this a lot, but what's your relationship with Cade like? What's the give and take like?
Yeah, nowadays it's definitely a lot different than it used to be. Back in the day, like a lot of people thought they would always be talking about like how I bet y'all fight all the time, but really, I don't think we fought met more than once or twice back in, when we were kids in our childhood. But we kind of bumped heads a little bit, like just talking. That's about it. We have different viewpoints.
Well, trust me, the last thing we want to do is get into politics right now. We don't want to make anybody mad. Again, Cooper's appearance brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. Cooper, I want to ask you a couple questions, getting into the NIL thing, name, image, and likeness. But I want to start with the whole concept of this Nick Saban and Jimbo going back and forth with Alabama and Texas A&M, respectively. You're a part of college football. Do you just sit back and kind of laugh when things like that happen, or what's your response?
Yeah, definitely different than it used to be now that I'm part of it. I think the big thing is everybody like sensationalizes like college football and maybe the coaches and players and everything. But when you're in it, it's a lot different because you don't really look at stuff like that as a big deal. I mean, college football is just such like a volatile, environment kind of. So just being a part of it, it doesn't even make me think twice about it, honestly.
Let me ask you a couple of questions about NIL. I'm just going to throw them at you, kind of these fast-paced sort of questions. You tell me what you think. Okay. What happens if a player, and there may be a player that Tennessee has, we don't have to get into names because we're not 100% sure it's him, but what happens if a player's promised $8 million and he's just not very good? Because the simple fact is there's a big elevation in play, Cooper. I mean, going from high school to college ain't easy.
Yeah, it's just probably a lot of weight on your shoulders. I couldn't imagine like just feeling that, you gotta perform. I mean, it's college football in and of itself is kind of like a very stressful thing. You're playing, especially in the SEC, you're playing the best teams week in, week out. So, you've got that to worry about already. So I can't imagine, having another element like that added to your shoulders. That's got to be crazy.
What would bother me the most is, well, in this particular case, if I'm a star quarterback, knowing that the guy who protects me, my left guard, I can take him to dinner all I want to, but the guy who protects me, my left guard, my left tackle, my right guard, my right tackle, it doesn't matter. They're not ever going to be valued quite the same in this NIL level. I don't see how that changes.
No, I don't think anybody would say that a left guard or a right guard would be more important than a quarterback. But that even goes up to like if you look at the NFL, that's what it's talking about anyway. Everybody's valued in a certain spot. Left tackles are making more than centers. Just so on and so forth. But as long as obviously you got to take care of both guys. You know what I'm saying? All starters, probably need to have big time deals going anyway. So I don't really know. You just got to find a way to make sure that everybody's getting a part.
Yeah, I like how you responded to that because you said everybody understands the difference in importance. sometimes I think fans on the outside looking in don't realize that and think that maybe a backup left guard should think he should be paid as much as the starting quarterback. You went through recruitment. You saw your brother go through recruitment. There's so much to think about. Can you even imagine adding NIL numbers to that? That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard, I would think, I mean, you got to think these are 18-year-old kids, like 17, some may even be 16, 17, 18-year-old kids trying to, I guess they would be like trying to look for numbers and negotiate. So, I mean, that's just really murky waters, I feel like.
No, and I would think there might be some obligation to sign with said agency afterwards. In the end, though, we can tweak it, but NIL is it a good thing for college football? I think it is, because I think you guys deserve more of a piece of the pie.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's been a long time coming that this is a possibility. You look at the revenue that college football generates just in and of itself. You got to find a way to get back at some point. I think it's a no-brainer, personally.
Was there a growing resentment to, hey, we're doing a lot of the work and not getting much of the profits?
I mean, I don't know if it was growing resentment because you don't really direct it at anybody, because it's such a high level of, that's so far up the chain that it's way bigger than anybody that you come into contact with. So like, it's not like you don't get mad at coaches for not giving you money because they can't. So, I mean, it's just kind of like, it was kind of just understood. Like, you just came here and you play for nothing, and then you maybe get something in the long run, like in the NFL.
I think I can relate a little bit. I hosted a talk show driving a Volkswagen Golf, and the salespeople all came in and out driving Mercedes. So is that kind of, it going in, so it doesn't take you by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it was just the name of the game back in the day. It's different now, but there was no other choice. So you just kind of just dealt with it. But yeah, I mean, it was always brought up. People make side comments that we weren't getting paid for doing any of this grueling work, but it was just something you kind of just laughed about and you kind of just moved on. I don't really know. It made you mad, but there was nothing you could do about it. So there wasn't any sense in griping about it.
You had mentioned, and again, our conversation, the Vol Report, brought to you today by City Heating and Air Conditioning, a proud American standard, a company built to a higher standard. City Heating and Air Conditioning. You had mentioned before we started that you were going to have an offensive line dinner at possibly a local establishment. I'm not going to give it away yet because I don't want people stalking you, but just your thoughts on that team building, that camaraderie, and how important that is in the months of May, June, and July.
For sure. I mean, I think it's definitely the most important part of a team. If you guys can't be on the same page without talking, then you'll never really get anywhere in the game of football. So it's kind of like O-line, and then it just kind of branches out to the whole team. But like, if you're starting five or not, I mean, if you have five people, they got to be on the exact same page on O-line. So if you can build bonds to where you can communicate without communicating, if that makes sense. Like, you just know what's going on, you expect it out of one another, then you're really golden at that point.
Do you consider yourself a leader of that group?
I would say so. I mean, you probably have to ask the other guys to see about that, but I would consider myself one. Yes.
I think it's natural. You have that personality, but how would you describe yourself as a leader?
Yeah. So I went through a little course here. They pick out like maybe 8 people a year from the football team and put them in a course called Ball Leaders. So you kind of just like learn about yourself as a leader. And then the way I would, like, we just had our final project, and the way I describe myself is somebody that, like, I'm a relationship builder. Like, and I just kind of find where I'm needed kind of every day. So like, the biggest thing that I like to do, I like to go into the locker room and ask, I ask about everybody I see, how they're doing, what's up, everything. So I think if people have trust in you, that you care about them and that you'll do the best for them, and that you always have cared about them, then they'll do anything for you. So if you can consistently be who you are every day, then people will respect you and look up to you.
Yep. I think that's a good way of putting it. And integrity certainly means a lot. I was talking to Jacob a couple weeks ago, Jacob Warren, who also joins us on the Vol Report. But I was talking to him about that. Some people were saying that Tennessee, in Gainesville, in Ben Hill Griffin, could upset Florida. I'm sorry, excuse me, LSU. It said could upset LSU, and I asked myself, I'm not sure that's much of an upset. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's an upset. I mean, I think it's a good game. I would think it can go either way, though. I didn't think it was. I wouldn't think it would be very lopsided based off of what happened last year. I don't remember them being quite great personally, but who knows?
Right. Do you find yourself keeping up with football in general outside of the conference, or are you so busy and so zoned in during the season it's kind of tough?
Yeah, I tell people this all the time. It's like by the time you get, you start at 6:30 in the morning, you wake up and have to get breakfast and have meetings by 7:20 in the morning. So you're sitting there and you're at 7:20 in the morning, you're sitting there for an hour and a half and watching, tape all morning. Then you got to come back. You'll be in there till from 5 to 6 p.m. You usually get in there early, do some treatment, maybe watch a little bit more film. So you're literally watching film of football all day. Me personally, I don't watch. I don't watch football outside of what we're doing in there usually. Like I don't just turn the TV on and like relax, be like, game's on. Like that's never. I don't watch any NFL football unless I'm watching Trey Smith. Honestly.
What do you like about Trey so much? That's a guy that's easy to root for.
No, yeah, that's my big brother basically.
So. Yeah, he's the. I mean, okay, I'll admit I was wrong. We're talking about blood clots, man. Give it up. Do something else. You got your whole future in front of you. Don't do it. And I was dead wrong. Absolutely wrong. No pun intended. He is playing really well, and the blood clots appear to be a thing of the past. And God bless him. That's awesome.
Yeah, no. Trey is a great human being. Probably one of the best human beings I've ever met in my life. I can firmly say that. If you ever met Trey, you would have probably never doubted him. Because the first thing he said when he got blood clots was that he was going to go to the NFL. So, I mean, just the way he attacks life and the way he loves the people around him, it's really unreal. He's a really special guy.
What are some of the other things that make him stand out? He didn't strike me as a vocal leader, more of a leader by example, but how would you describe him?
I would say he's a great leader in all facets. Honestly, he can check every box. He can be that vocal guy, that alpha male. He can be the guy that leads by example because he's going to be doing the right stuff all the time. You'll never catch Trey on a day where he's not approaching his business the right way. So he's just a really good guy to be around, and he cares about everybody a lot. You know exactly how he feels about you every day.
Do we really know how physically gifted he is yet? Because here's my argument. He hasn't played long. He doesn't have a lot of experience considering his age, and because of the blood clots, it's hard to go through an entire year of conditioning. Like if I'm buying stock today, I'm buying stock in Trey.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, if you go turn on the film, if you guys can find it any type of way, go just watch the Chiefs versus the Eagles. So he was playing Fletcher Cox, one of the most dominant D linemen in the league. He's just whooped him, honestly. Just put on the film. It's very special what he's doing in the league.
No, really, really good. So what other former players do you keep in touch with maybe in the league right now that you still keep up with? Many besides Trey and your brother?
I mean, I would just say like Trey and obviously my brother, but Trey's probably the biggest in the league that I keep up with because we play on the game all the time. So we're talking multiple times a week for like hours at a time. So we've ended up, I mean, we were always close. I've known him since I was probably a sophomore in high school. And I got offered by Tennessee. No, I guess it was my freshman year in high school. I got offered by Tennessee and like, he didn't know me at all, but he kind of knew me just because of Cade. And like, as soon as I got my first offer, he texted me and was like, if you ever need anything, like I've got you, just call me or text me anything. I got you. And like, just like being a young guy, like I was the type of guy that I was like watching the whole like live stream to make sure Trey like signed here. Like I was that like big type of like recruiting fan. Like, so all in middle school, I was always on like just recruiting sites looking at what was going on. So like that like just meant a lot to me because like he took his time out of his day and he was so like I was like kind of starstruck. So just making me feel special and everything was kind of cool.
Were you a recruiting fan from the perspective of the recruiting news, or did you like to evaluate the players and read about the evaluation of the players?
Both. I just kept up with everybody that we were recruiting, like when I was in middle school. I've always been really like analytical. Like I like knowing a lot of knowledge. So if I like get kind of stuck on something, I'll be like really fixated on it and learn a lot about it.
Okay, so I want to ask you about what player you ended up playing with surprised you the most after you saw them in recruiting. I want to see, because you've evaluated them, you had a feel, and some people will excel and bloom a little bit later. Brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, provided East Tennesseans with honest, dependable heating and cooling services for over 50 years. That's since 1961. Whether it's design, installation, geothermal system design, they have that too. That's City Heating and Air Conditioning, and they've got it all, the 24/7 emergency services, the maintenance plans, no hassle annual inspections. So they've got it all, and they bring you Cooper Mace. Cooper, so the one player you watched in high school through the recruiting process, you're like, I'm not sure if he's going to be an SEC player, but ended up exceeding your expectations the most is who?
That's a really tough one. I don't know. A person on our team who has done just like a phenomenal job, like coming out of high school, they played tight end, was Latrell Bumpus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Bump, he's a really good player. He's a really good player. He's probably at times has been one of our best pass rushing D tackles, and he's a really special talent.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. Because when he came out of high school, he wasn't highly regarded. So, but he has turned into quite the player. He's Cooper Mays, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. The Vol Report. We will talk to you as the weeks roll on and as the season rolls on. So we're looking forward to that. He is Cooper Mays. I'm Dave Hooker. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.